Welcome back to the 2 Months podcast presented by Shadified Salon and Barbershop here in Edmonton. Call me, we'll maybe get you a nice haircut whenever you roll through Edmonton
All
here.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you hooked
Could
up
always
with
use one.
Shadified. Yeah, never hurts. They would love
Never
to.
hurts.
Yeah. Hey, if you're getting a haircut by the same guy that cuts Connor McDavid's hair, that might be a good thing. So, because
Maybe I'll get faster.
exactly, yeah.
It
But
might be too late, but
yeah,
yeah.
you never know. So, we got Sonny Stacan here. Sonny, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Excited to chop it up for you guys.
Nice, nice. And our next guest, he's back with us for a third time. He's a Stanley Cup champion. He's played over 400 games in the National Hockey League. You can find him with James Sabalski and Andrew Raycroft on a podcast called Clearing the Crease podcast with those gentlemen there. We have Mike Commodore. Call me. How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, nice to be back. Everything's going good. Just sitting down here in Arizona right now. Thought it was going to cool off a little bit, but it really hasn't. But no, things are good.
Nice, nice.
Things are good.
Have you been rolling there for a while? Like pretty much all summer there? Or?
In and out, back a little bit, but yeah, quite a bit down here. But yeah, in and out, but yeah, a little more time here than usual. So that's been, I mean, it's fine. It's kind of like, I mean, summer here is like winter in Edmonton, just the other way is pretty much what it's like. So yeah, when I was here for a few days in a row, it does get a little painful when it's 115 degrees out. You don't really get much done.
Oh,
But no, everything's good. I can't complain.
yeah, we just had Mitch Love on, and him and his girlfriend just moved there this summer, I believe. So,
Oh, they did.
yeah,
Where's he coach? Is he in Washington system?
he's still he's an assistant coaching the D, going into his second year. But obviously, he was the head coach with the Flames organization.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay.
AHL team, but yeah, this is his second year as an assistant coach on Spencer Carberry's staff. So
with the Capitals?
Yeah, with the Capitals.
Okay.
Yeah,
I knew he went over there. I didn't know if he got the head job in Hershey or okay.
Yeah, the assistant role there, and
good for him.
Yeah, so yeah, good guy, but maybe I'll run into the summer times in Arizona now that they're there full time. But I guess the first thing maybe just kind of some good news, cool news. You shared on your Instagram. You're going to be involved in the Hockey Hall of Fame game coming up here again, and you're hoping not to get pumped like you did last time.
Oh my God!
You, I guess, but
no, that's good. We need more guys like Camilleri because the last time there was a few too many of us. They do it. I've only played in it once. I was there. I got invited because the year Ginla got in and Ken Holland got in, so they invited me out. I thought that was going to be the last time I was invited, but I mean, it was a lot of fun. But they do like Team Canada versus like Team World, so anybody that's not Canadian. And our team was like, I think we were a little bit older, but I think more importantly, we had way more guys that like, I mean, I could tell as soon as we got, and I was one of them. Like our team, I don't think skates much anymore, so we had guys like, Scott Niedermeyer, me, Wendell Clark, Eric Lindros, don't get me wrong, those are great names, but anyways, we were playing against that world team and we were getting like, nobody cares. It's not about who wins or loses, but you also don't want to get smashed like 10-1.
Oh.
And we got our doors blown off by like I think a few of these, it was like, I think that Nick Antropov, he's a better player now than he was when he was with the Leafs. That guy was unreal. But there was a couple of the guys, you could tell they skate all the time. So we were kind of laughing a little bit on the bench. Like we didn't touch the puck much. I don't remember what the final score was, but it was pretty ugly. But anyway, so doing that again, looks like we have a little bit of a younger roster.
Okay.
Anyways, that's not the point of the thing at all.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit, but it'll be a lot of fun. Just out in Toronto for 2 nights, and I'll see a few of the guys I used to play with. A bunch of guys, obviously, I played against. So quick trip, but it'll be fun.
That's awesome. No, it's good to probably reconnect with those guys. And obviously, when you do your podcast, you get to kind of catch up with some people too, and along the way.
Yeah.
Always fun. But I guess let's jump into kind of some topics here. The Flames, I know it's just preseason, but they go into game 4 tonight, but they're 3-0. And, obviously a guy that you know very well, Michael Backlund, but he's a good friend of ours on the podcast, and obviously we have a good relationship with the Flames organization. Peter Hanlon and those guys are good. But how do you vision this team coming to shaping in? Obviously, not a lot of expectations, but do you think they can kind of surprise some people, Kami, or no?
I mean, I guess it all depends on expectations. Yeah. I would look. I mean, if you're a player on the team and the coaching staff, and if you're if you're a player on the team or the coaching staff, I mean, obviously when you go into a season, like you want to obviously you want to make the playoffs, and like that's how it is every year.
Yeah.
So, I'm assuming, like, I think it's a very exciting opportunity for a lot of those guys that are younger, especially because there's going to be a bunch of opportunity to play, and there should be some opportunity to play like some pretty significant minutes. So I would say that's exciting for sure. I mean, if I'm on the management side, like, look, maybe I'm completely wrong, but like, I don't think the Flames this year are going to be taking it to the Western Conference Finals or anything.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's kind of that balance, right? It's like, yeah, we want to put a good product on the ice, but we are very young. So it'd be like, I guess, I don't know how to word this without sounding like, yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be more exciting to watch if they're competitive and in the mix to the end and maybe make the playoffs. But it also wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if maybe you have a lottery pick. So, they need to retool a little bit. I think Craig's done a great job of like getting some assets, getting some picks. Off the top of my head, like I know Craig's focus is like, they've gotten not, I don't know if I should use the word burnt, but they've had guys that, they're in Calgary and they play well, but when they're in Calgary, but then when time comes to, if they can leave, they leave. So I know a focus for Craig when he took the job is like, hey, like we want players, we want to draft players, we want to develop players that want to be here. So, I really liked his pick in the second round, that Andrew Basha, the kid from Medicine Hat. He's from Calgary. I know his dad. His dad runs a pub, Garrison Pub in Marteloup. It's a great spot. Food's awesome. His dad's a newfie. So like they got him in the second round and he's fired up. His dad's fired up. And so I like what they're doing. So yeah, but I would say the expectations around town are low.
Yeah, low for sure.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the starting goalie, Josh, or Commie?
God, that Wolf kid, man, like when I see him, I did the Calgary Stampede, rode the horse to open it up. There was a bunch of us, and they have some alumni, they have some football players, they have some lacrosse guys like the Roughnecks. They have a little bit of everybody, but I went and rode in it, part of the alumni. And Dustin Wolf was there. Seemed like a very nice kid. I watched some American League games. I know he played some few games up. I mean, he's, for lack of a better term, he's kind of dominated. Like he's small, which usually, when you get up, but he's dominated the American Hockey League. And it's not like, I know there's still a jump to get up there, maybe especially as a goaltender, because you're there and there's some guys that can really shoot the puck and make plays. I don't know. I think I'd like to see like a 50-50 thing.
Yeah.
Or roll with somebody. Hey, if they're playing well, let them go. Because I like the other guy's Vladar still, right?
Correct. Yeah. They still got.
Yeah, and I like him too. I would just, if it was me, I think I would just roll with it. Like, hey, if you're playing well, you're going to play. If we go a little cold, or I mean, obviously not too many starts in a row, but then switch it up and let that guy go for a while. I think that's the way I would do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that Wolf kid, I got to give him credit. Like he doesn't look like much, not to be rude, but he's dominated.
Yeah. Yeah. You walk by him in the hallway, like goes with us having our media pass. Sometimes when we're there, like double look and be like, hey, that guy plays. And then he does. And he actually plays really well. His stats are really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So his stats in the American League, like he was like what goalie of the year, I think was the MVP, like
2 years in a row. Yeah.
I mean, the American League's a good hockey league and there's guys there that can play. Like there's no doubt about that. So, I mean, at bare minimum, I think he deserves like an honest chance for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if he's legitimately a midget with how he's played in the American League. He deserves like a full-blown, honest shot to play in the NHL for sure. Not just a couple of games. Like he deserves a good run.
Yeah. And obviously with Vladar, he had hip surgery in the summertime. He looks like he's going to be healthy to start the year, but maybe ease him into games, like you say, too. And once they get going, he's a big guy. There's a lot of upside there. And I think that's why they made the trade, to at least give those two guys a run and a fair shot. And I'll see what Markstrom does in New Jersey. But let's move over to the Bruins and stay with the goalie theme here. Obviously, you're close with Andrew Raycroft, and there's probably a lot of, with him living in Boston, working with Nesson and all that. I guess the Swayman talk just never really ends. But how do you, obviously, it's probably safe to say this probably ends in a signing and it finally gets done. But where are you at? Obviously our boys like Biz and them kind of got made fun of in the Spitting on Themselves podcast. But
that's why I'm laughing. Yeah,
exactly.
Like Andrew and I actually haven't talked about it. We haven't recorded a podcast since that kind of stuff came out. Okay. So we haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. But I see the Chicklets clips, and I'm buddies with those guys. And I saw the Don Sweeney thing. I mean, it was pretty funny. I mean, it's this, obviously this is a totally different thing, but it's, kind of training camp time. Last time, Biz and those guys came out with some stuff about Babs. He ended up, obviously this is a completely different situation, but so like, I don't really pay attention to the Bruins much or anything, but I do have to say, and I don't know anybody, I don't know Don Sweeney. I don't know any of those guys, but I mean, I will say what Ryan, I mean, I do believe Whitney and Biz,
Oh, yeah.
like if they're saying they're talking to people, like they're not just going to make that shit up.
No.
I mean, they got a big voice and like they take it responsibly. They're not just going to go off half cocked on something hockey related, anyways. So yeah, I mean, the way Whit put it, where you trade Allmark and you don't take him to arbitration and you don't. It's kind of backfiring now because, like you said, or now kind of all the chips are in Swayman's. Like he's got the leverage. Like if and Boston's supposed to have a good team, they went and signed some big name free agents or bigger name free agents. Like Boston's Boston. They're not, what the Calgary Flames are expected to be this year. They're supposed to, make a run at a cup. They got a good team. So yeah, if you're Swayman's camp, and I mean, I'd be sitting there, he should get paid fair, I guess would be the way to put it. And he kind of has all the leverage right now, unless he decides to be like super team friendly. But yeah, I guess that's up to the individual.
Yeah. I found it funny because I think they released an episode yesterday and they opened it up with "Welcome to the Spitting on Yourself" podcast. So I had a good laugh. I text Biz today about it. He had a good laugh too. He's like, those obviously, yeah, like I agree. Those guys, they know what they're doing. They're not throwing things out there just to not make it like stick. Like
no, they're not just throwing things out there for clicks and just making shit up. And it's funny, Don Sweeney, part of kind of the old guard or whatever. And it was kind of, I saw the clip of his of his press conference there where they're still, I mean, he was kind of making fun of him or whatever, which is completely fine. That's totally fine. But it's still like, for those older guys, they don't like hearing shit on podcasts, and they don't want to admit that podcasts, like they want to have their little press conference and that's it. Like the outside podcast stuff, they don't want anything. They don't want to give it any credit. They don't want to put a name on it. They don't want to like discuss it at all. So, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting how it works out. We had that same thing this summer. We ended up breaking the Draisaitl contract on our
Oh, you guys did?
Yeah, Dregs.
Okay.
Dregs gave us credit for it. Some other insider I won't name tried to take credit for it. So Darren Drager stood up for us, I guess. But yeah, we kind of got tipped off before. We had a couple in a row because we had the CC trade to San Jose too. But yeah, you're right. And it was funny because Pierre LeBrun was saying, he's like, we got to accept it. It's the new way things break out, because when these guys come on our pod, when you guys come on the pod and stuff like that, as you know it too, it's like you're freewheeling open, and like you're just talking openly, you're having a good conversation. You're not trying to like jam anyone up or hurt anyone. You're just trying to, it's the new way we're trying to get information out there in a way too.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, I could sit here and bullshit and give my like bullshit opinion about another sport or another topic, but like if I'm going to give my opinion, I'm either on hockey, or if I'm going to tell you something that I like, I'm not just going to fire something out that, I might give my opinion on something, but if I've like heard something, I'm going to be like, yeah, I've heard this, and I'm not going to sit there and bullshit.
No. Let's move over to the Habs, and I'll toss the mic over to Sonny here. But obviously, they're moving and shaking. They got Lane Hudson, the kid's making some great plays on the back end. You played that position. It's good. They look like they're going to be a good team in the future here, Commie, and they got a bright star. Obviously, I saw your tweet on Ace pants. I thought it was kind of funny, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. But Sonny works at Henry Singer here, getting nice suits. He gets these.
There you go.
Yeah, dressed up in good suits. So maybe Laine needs to take a visit to see Sonny here. But where are you at with the Habs and what Jeff Gordon's done, and Martin St. Louis and the Ken Hughes, kind of the brass there, in developing those young players, and how exciting this team's probably going to be in the future, if not this season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a whole lot of their games, but I like what they've been doing. Buddy of mine, Teddy Purcell, scouts for him. Maybe I'm a little biased. I mean, I'm boys with their head coach, and I think the world of Marty. But yeah, I liked what they've done. Like, I think overall, like Montreal fans have been patient which, you know, sometimes you never know. But
Yeah.
I think they've been very patient, and they've been accumulating players, and they've got some good young players. That Doc's coming back this year after being out all of last year. So I like what they're doing, and I haven't seen the with Hudson, right? The D-man play.
Yeah. Did you see that clip of that saucer pass?
I did see that. Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty nice. Yeah, there's no doubt. So obviously, he has some skill.
We're doing that back and forth Saskatchewan, eh, Commie? So,
Oh yeah, used to do that all the time.
yeah.
Except shoot it over the glass.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure what they were doing, and I'm not against the move. I think it was personally, I think it was a great move for Columbus. Like, and I don't want to rip on Line A. I mean, pants aside, I thought that was I meant to comment it as soon as it happened, and that's just a little thing, but that to me is I don't know how you can show up as the first look at Montreal. I mean, I don't care what your style, like just put a pair of slacks on or whatever. But more importantly, on the ice, I thought that was a great move for Columbus. Like, I knew he wanted out of there, but you got rid of him. You don't have to keep any of his set, like he's gone. So that's good for Columbus. And I guess for Montreal, I mean, what the hell? There's 2 years left. Maybe this guy finds some. Obviously, he can shoot the puck. But I don't know. I just, if I had to guess, I mean, I hope it.
You hope
I hope it goes well for him. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I hope you do well. But I mean, and I'm sure it's going to.
That's the thing too, right? Sorry to interrupt.
What's that? Sorry.
Did they really need him though in their development? And that's the thing, right?
Yeah, like that's the one thing I wasn't sure. I'm like, yeah, do you need, like, I don't know. I just know from the outside looking in. I mean, there's some games that guy plays where it's like not really the effort, especially at both ends of the ice, isn't there. But yeah, I mean, I hope it goes well for him. But you know, and I'm sure the fans, I saw they were cheering for him every time he touched the puck in preseason. That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But sooner or later, there's going to be some adversity. And I mean, if the adversity was a little tough on him in Columbus, well, I would imagine the adversity is going to be a little more and it'll be a little louder in Montreal. I mean, just go ask Scott Gomez. I mean, Gomez was pretty good there.
Yeah.
But they thought he was good. They thought he should be scoring goals for some reason. Like, they thought he was like a 30 or 40 goal scorer. He's never that in his life. He was pretty good there. And they went to the playoffs. And I mean, for Gomer, it got to the point where he couldn't even go to a restaurant there. So I hope he doesn't have to deal with that, because I don't think he's quite as resilient as Scott Gomez, but we'll see how it works out.
For sure. Sonny, I'll toss it over to you here.
Yeah, call me. So I'm a huge Oilers fan. Born and raised here. I know you're from the area.
Yep.
Obviously this year, the closest the Oilers got to hoisting the cup since you guys in Carolina.
2006, yeah.
What do you make of the offseason? Like, obviously, with those runs, you know, it's hard to bring back everyone, but a lot of players out, a bunch of players in. And then, you know, is there a player, if you followed him, that you're excited to see? And is there an area of the Oilers game that you'd be concerned about as we approach the season?
You know, hey, look, I like the Oilers too. I mean, I'm a Flames guy, but I follow the Oilers as well. And what they did last year, I tell you what, I didn't see that coming. Obviously, there's a lot of talent. Long story short, I did really like the moves that the Oilers made in the summer. I think because of their success and because of McDavid being there and Draisaitl, I think Edmonton, and it wasn't for a little while. I think, and with the new rink and everything, I think all of it kind of coming together. I think Edmonton has kind of become a destination where guys are like, hey, like, I think these guys are close. And obviously they went to Game 7 last year. I mean, I think that Arvidsson's a good pickup, but I think, like, for me personally, I think the weakness of the Edmonton Oilers is on the back end. For me personally, I think they have some guys there that could use some work defensively. So actually, two guys that, and maybe I'm out to lunch on this, but two guys that I think are going to be great for them. Like, Stetcher's still there, right? But he's back from injury. I mean, that guy works hard and he plays hard defensively. I know he's not that big. And the other kid, the other pickup that I really liked, and I know these are like not, but that Brown. Like, I watched him, the big D man.
Yeah, Josh Brown. Yeah,
Josh Brown. Yeah, like, I watched him like play in Phoenix. And to me, from the games that I saw, I'm like, this is what the Oilers need. They need somebody, like, you're not going to go, and I mean, unless he fights somebody, you go to the game, you're not going to be like wowed by anything he does. but he gets the puck out, he plays hard in his own end, and he keeps it simple. And I think if the Oilers would have had a couple more guys like that in last playoff run, I think like maybe the result is a little bit different. So we'll see. I mean, there's kind of and I don't want to pile on. I mean, they got, and look, I know he works hard. Darnell Nurse needs to play. That means
Yeah.
Never going to live up to the contract, and that's fine. And I think it's great he got paid, but he's got to take care of one end of the ice, and it's got to be the D zone. Like, start with that. Forget about the offense. Like, I know you're getting paid, like you should be scoring too. Who cares about that? Like, he's got to get better because he was a little bit of a boat anchor, I thought, in the playoffs. So we'll see how he comes in.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've talked about, like, we asked Stauffer if he could if he could have a one pickup from a different team, if he would tell us one. Do you have a defenseman that, if you're looking externally, that the Oilers would look at, that you can think of?
Oh, let me think about that and get back to you.
Yeah.
Brasso Anderson's a guy like that, but why would Calgary give him up too, right? And if it's mutual to your rival, but yeah.
I mean, I could see maybe if the Flames moving, like, Anderson's a good player and he's good in both ends of the ice. That might be a tough one for the Flames to do with Edmonton.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be, because somebody like that, it would be somebody they could really need. But honestly, I am interested to see like how that decor starts the year and shapes up, because I do think, like, hey, you need to defend. Like, it's awesome in the regular season, like you can win games 7-6 and stuff like that, and that's great. But like in the playoffs, it's a different ball game. It's different hockey, and like you have to be able to defend. And if with the talent that's on that ice, I mean, Skinner hopefully, I mean, will be playing his first playoff game this year, which is insane to me.
Crazy.
If the Oilers miss the playoffs this year, I mean, Skinner, you got to blame it on him. He's just voodoo. But like, yeah, if you can just defend well and get the puck out of your own end and get those forwards going with the puck, you're going to be fine. So defensively, D-men in particular, I'd like to see a little improvement. But I'm interested to see how those guys work out, because I know those aren't like the big names that everybody's like wowed about for as far as picked up. But I think that's what they needed. Like, I think if Stetcher would have been healthy last year in the playoffs, that would have helped.
Correct. For sure. Just gives them that rest. That Ty Emerson is another, or Emberson. It's a small sample size what he did in San Jose, but his numbers at the NHL and AHL level are super strong for what the Oilers need. But yeah, so I'm in the same camp as you. Let's see excited to see what he does to start this season. But
yeah, I mean, it's exciting to be an Oilers fan. I mean, basically, it's kind of, it's cup or bust a little bit here. I would say totally. So, I mean, obviously there's lots that goes into it, and another run to the finals would be incredible as well. Like, I don't want to say, probably shouldn't say cup or bust, but yeah, I mean, if you're an Oilers fan, you got to be pumped up.
Yeah, no doubt. We kind of talked a little bit RFAs with Boston earlier. What did you think of the RFA situation with the Blues and the Oilers? I'm of the opinion that I kind of wish that we saw it all the time. Like, I think it would make things more exciting. Do you think we're going to see more of it, or, I'm asking for speculation, I guess, but yeah.
I mean, I don't know about any particular cases. I'm with you. Like, I think it's awesome. And I know what Doug Armstrong came out and said after, because look, Doug and Ken are buddies. Ken's gone, and literally, what was it? The next week, here comes a couple offer sheets. I think it's great. I do also think, though, that, like, it's a tough. I mean, those GMs all hang out and talk to each other. Like, sure, you might not like some of them or whatnot, or maybe you're not boys with all of them, but yeah, I would like to see more. I mean, I know there's been a little bit go on with like Carolina and Montreal, and there's been some back and forth there over the years. But yeah, I think it's great. Like, and it's no guarantee for, like, I like both those guys that ended up going to St. Louis, but like, St. Louis is taking a risk too. I mean, that Broberg, yes, he played well in the playoffs for sure, but I mean, they're paying, what was it, 4.5 or whatever for the next couple of years. So it's a risk for them as well.
No doubt.
Yeah,
that Oilers team is going to feature a number of players that are going to make it to the Four Nations Cup. So one of the things I wanted to, pivot to and kind of get your thoughts on, and Josh's thoughts on, where, Stauffer said that Canada should have a puncher's chance in any international tournament. And I think that's the case. But coming into this, how confident do you feel that like this is Canada's to lose?
Man, I think it's tough to say. Like, look, if I'm betting on it, I'm going to bet on Canada. I will. I still think that Canada's or sorry, hockey is our game. But like when it comes to like top end guys, like obviously McDavid, I got that and everything, but like there's some countries with some pretty good players so like, yeah, I would bet on them to win, but like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. I mean, there's a few other nations out there that can put a team together that's pretty solid. So when is that anyways? I always get confused with these things. When is it?
February. So I think it's like
This February, right?
Yeah, I think
How long is it? Like 2 weeks?
I think so. Yeah, I think they stop for like a 2 week, pretty
So
much.
it's basically kind of like an Olympic break.
Yeah, so I think they
Okay.
start in Canada and then they go over to Boston after. So I think
Okay.
the finals. So
I mean, I think it's fun. I think as a fan, it's fun to watch. I always enjoyed like even when watching the Olympics and stuff, when you're seeing the best players in the world, like I think hockey on Olympic ice it's not my thing. But when you have like Canada versus US or when you have Canada versus Sweden or whatever, the top teams in the tournament, I do think it's very fun to watch because those guys can, the ice shrinks for them. They can move the puck and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's a nice break for a lot of the guys. But yeah, I mean, I think as a fan, it's exciting for sure.
Yeah, should be good.
Yeah, I guess where I was going to go with that is like I'm in the same camp. Like Canada, I think they can win any tournament, but I feel like the last couple of years, and you look at who's being drafted, I feel like the gap between Canada and particularly the US is shrinking. And I'm heavily involved in a well-known tournament, the Brick Invitational. And I know, and I often point out, yes, they're 10 years old, and there's a lot that can happen from 10 to
sure.
Yeah. But it's interesting when you look at the number of players that are getting drafted at our tournament. It's not a coincidence anymore. And then I think like 6 of the last 8 teams that have won that are American teams. And your buddy Jimmy Howard with Detroit this past summer, like won it pretty handily with and what's I think even more interesting is the top end, like you drop your jaw, 3 million views on TikTok. Those kids are all coming out of US programs. So, I've said this before and I'm like, these kids are 10. So 8 years from now, we're going to realize it. But I wonder in this gap, like if it's all of a sudden we're going to blink and it's here. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any kids. First off, I did see Jimmy Howard win that. It popped up on something on Instagram or whatever. It was a shot of Jimmy from across the ice when they won, and Jimmy's the man. So I laughed and I thought that was awesome. But yeah, you're right. I mean, hockey and look, like, I mean, I know I'm sitting here in Phoenix, but like hockey's, I mean, obviously it's not like football or whatever, but the people that are into it are into it. And the ice is like, there's ice down here. The ice is packed. Like people are into it. And so, I don't have kids, so I've never really been involved in it. So you know about this stuff way better than I do. So like, I'll go to watch the odd game if like I got a buddy, but I've never been involved in youth sports. But yeah, I mean, you look at where guys are coming from and like, it's not like it was years ago where it's just like Canada's like, if Canada loses, it's a massive upset. It's like and you know who else brought an interesting point up to me like a couple of years ago? It was Jason LaBarbera. Him and I were the goalie coach for the Flames. Mm-hmm. Or we were sitting there, just bullshit. We were playing golf, and he brought up the goalies. And he's like, we ended up talking about goalies, and I didn't really realize it, but he's like, Mike, who are for the Olympics coming up there? He's like, who are our goalies? And like, where are the best goalies from now? And I was like, kind of trying to think through it. And I'm like, man, I think they're like all European, aren't they? European or Russian or American? He's like, yeah. And he's like, who do we have? And, at the time I said Carter Hart, but then that stuff happened. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, that's that 4 nations. That's the one thing that really, if I were to worry, that's the Americans just are so deep at that position. And Canada, I think, Josh said last time that he thinks Skinner's a lock to make it, and Skinner's great, but past that, it's
Right.
it's an area that we've faltered.
You got
Yeah. Yeah.
Bennington would be another one, I guess, but then you got
Sure.
Aiden Hill in Vegas, who just recently won a cup 2 years ago. So
Sure.
does Carter,
Yeah.
does Darcy
And
Kemper rejuvenate his career in LA? I don't know. Like that's
yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's getting up there, isn't he? A little bit.
yeah, he is. Yeah. So
I
it's not
mean,
like you're
you know,
mentioning all
Fleury's 40, isn't
yeah,
he? If
yeah,
he's not 40, he's
yeah,
almost there. I mean,
yeah,
look, he's had a hell of a career. And
yeah.
I mean,
Retirement
he'll be,
for him. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's no questions asked about that, but that's a lot to ask out of him. So, yeah, it was just interesting when I remember Barb's bringing that up, and I'd never thought about it before. And I was like, shit, you're kind of right. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
You have anything else there, Sonny?
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you haven't seen it, it's worth maybe Josh will send it to you in a DM. The
yeah.
one kid on Jimmy's team, Case and Pusateri, it's stuff this
Okay.
kid, a 10-year-old, as a 10-year-old is doing. I know Josh is smirking now. Like, we've never had a video that hit 1 million views, and this kid's video is getting 3 million views. Like,
Okay. Yeah. Send it to me. I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
it's unbelievable how good this kid was. But yeah, and
And he was on Jimmy's team.
yeah, he was like Jimmy's star player.
Okay. So this kid was lighting it up.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
exactly.
he was
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Send that to me because I'd like to check that out.
Yeah, I'll send
Okay.
it to you tonight. But I'll finish up on this is kind of one last question and just kind of want to get your thoughts on what are the chances of either or happening this year. Kami, do you think Ovechkin gets this 42 goals this year, or is it more likely that Austin Matthews gets 50 goals by the All-Star break, which is around, or I guess, sorry, you would maybe say the trade deadline, which would be like March 27th or something like that. So,
Okay. So that'd be probably 60. So you need, what's that, 50 and like 60?
yeah.
6-ish, maybe. Okay. And how many is Ovechkin off from the record again? Is it 42? No, he's more than that, isn't he?
Yeah, it's 42 away from Gretzky's record. So what are the chances?
Ooh.
Like, does he get 42 this year, or would Austin Matthews get 50 by the trade deadline? What's more likely to happen?
I mean, I'll go with Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
And I don't say that with a whole lot of confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, Ovechkin, I mean, obviously the guy's an incredible player, and that guy can just straight up score goals. And he's been doing this obviously for a very, very long time. I'm not sure what the Washington Capitals are doing. I mean, the Dubois, like, I'd have to take a look at,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't watch a whole lot of Washington Capitals games,
got
but for the life of
no Kuznetsov anymore. You got no
right.
Backstrom,
No Backstrom, Oshie's done.
Yeah.
So yeah, and maybe they have some guys there that I'm not. I mean, if they're relying on Dubois to get Ovechkin the puck, I don't know. I mean, maybe he'll end up loving Washington and playing up to his potential, but I wouldn't. I don't know. For the life of me, I don't know what they were doing there. But yeah, I mean, I'll go with Austin. That's a lot of goals though in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
But yeah. He's got to stay healthy, yeah. And so, well, Ovechkin's been healthy basically his entire career. What he's done is, I mean, it is incredible. If you would have asked me like a few years ago, I'd have been like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Because, Ovechkin seems like he likes to have a good time. I mean, you see those pictures of him in the summer sometimes. I'm like, this guy looks like beer league. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what his off-season program is, but it seems like by the time, I mean, he's always been a big dude anyways, but yeah, I'll go with Matthews, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Sonny, you?
Yeah, I'll go with Matthews as well. Like, I'm not a Leafs fan, but when he's healthy, we haven't seen someone score like that since Ovi in his prime, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Ovi has it in him. I just don't know if the Caps have it in them to make it happen for him. I want to see it happen. I think it'd be awesome.
I mean, at the end of the day, maybe the more I think about it, I mean, he's going to be sitting in his spot on the power play.
Correct.
I mean, it doesn't matter if he's not playing that great defensively, they don't have a great team. I mean, he's going to get every opportunity in the world. He's going to be sitting there the entire time. So, and I mean, maybe the more I think about it, I might go the other way because, I mean, Matthews, this is going to be a little different for him. You're the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's a big deal. Yeah. I mean, maybe he handles it great. I don't know, but there's a lot more responsibilities that come with that also.
And a new system too. He's playing with new head coach that has a
new head coach. Yeah. So there's a lot of I mean, it's a hell of an honor. There's no doubt about it to be the captain of the Maple Leafs, but there's going to be there's more responsibility. You can't just if you don't have a great game, you can't just hit the exit and get away from it very often. So I'll stick with Matthews, but yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah. We'll close out on this. Since you're joining us, Kami, we want to make a donation to a charity you work with. I don't know, is there anyone you worked with throughout your career or right now? I know you do a lot of stuff with the Flames Foundation. You guys
sure. Yeah. You know what? One that how about what is it? Parachutes for Pets in Calgary.
We work with them too. So awesome. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, they're awesome. I went over to their facility a few months ago. Yeah, they do. I got a very big soft spot when it comes to pets in general, but especially dogs.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think if I end up when my time comes and it's time for me to move on to whatever the next life, I think I might be leaving all my cash to some kind of dog shelter or pet shelter. I think that's going to be my move. So anything with them would be awesome. Those people, they do God's work for sure.
Yeah, I think it's Melissa is the name. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, she is. She's amazing. So yeah, okay, we'll do that for sure.
Thank you. It's very nice.
Half there for us for joining us. But Kami, thanks again for always. It's always fun chatting with you and shooting the shit and just having a good conversation. And this is Sonny's second kind of first NHL player, I guess you interviewed, Sonny?
There you go. Great job, Sonny. Yeah, natural.
Thank you.
There you go. Thanks. Perfect. Yeah, and send me that video. I want to see Jimmy's 10-year-old there that was just torching it.
I'll get that to you tonight for sure. So
okay, yeah.
Okay, take care.
All right.
And have a good
See you
one.
guys. Thanks for having me.